I had a lady and she came to me for coaching. She was worried that she couldn't have a baby. And I said to her, your baby is already here. I said, talk to your baby. She was in tears. She never considered that. She had been going on for so long about not being able to have a baby. She hadn't thought about the baby. And about 3 months later, she sent me a text. She was 3 months pregnant.
Wow. So Hannah, tell me a bit about what you do. So, you talked about the universe and how, it was not meant to be. It rained and your clothes got wet, but then now it's dried. And I do.
So that's my daily language. Yeah. But you've experienced success yourself and have seen, like, when you get into the flow, it's like things that you were looking for before, it just seems to just flow into your lap kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So there is this outer universe that you think is independent from you. And then you have your inner universe, which is your thinking and the way you see life and your perception, your imagination and your desires. And we don't realize this is the part we have to manage. And this is intrinsically connected to the outside universe and directly affects the components and everything that we're drawing to us on the outside. So I came across this actually. I've had quite a story. I don't know if you read my story on my website.
I saw the website. I saw all the beautiful photos on the beach, and like I've got a gist. You're sort of in that space, but I'd love for you to sort of fill in the gaps. And before we get too deep, please sort of give like a mini introduction, Anna. Tell everyone a bit about what you do, like a mini sort of introduction. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm Anna Garcia. I am a law of attraction coach based in Sydney, and I coach clients around the world. I've been coaching for the last 11 years. So I never initially planned to be a coach. What happened was I'd always been searching. I wasn't like most of my friends are out clubbing when they're a teenager. I was actually asking what was the meaning of life. And I was questioning it so much. Everything that I pursued that I thought would make me happy wasn't making me happy, that I traveled to the other end of the world and climbed up this holy mountain. And I'm just asking, why are we here? Is it just this rat race? And that's when on my way, I came across a group of missionaries. And at that time, I thought money could make me happy. All these things could make me happy. And there's nothing wrong with them. We do want them. But I just thought that was the dead end. That was the final trophy. And I still wasn't happy. And I met these missionaries and they looked happy. They didn't have very much. So I gave up everything. I gave away my money. I gave away all the things I owned. Left my partner who had thought I was going to marry, left my studies at university and my family, and I joined this community and I took a vow of poverty, of all things. So while I was living with them, at first it was great, but then I didn't realize it was a fundamentalist community. And very soon we got into this practice where you had to kill your pride, kill your ego. And we actually used to do daily rounds of putting ourselves down. And it was under the name of God, that this was holy if we did this, but something didn't feel right. And after 4 years, I ran away and I left that community and I had to start again. And at the time, I thought, what a waste of my life. Why did I spend time there? But it was valuable in this sense. And I only realized that 10 years later, that it set up a huge desire in me to understand, how does life really work? If that's not who God is, what is this universe? Why are we here? And if I felt that it wasn't right that we put ourselves down, what is it that we're actually looking for? That's when I came across Marianne Williamson's quote that, we're not here to play small. We're here to be great. We're actually here to shine, the actual opposite. And I started pursuing coaching. So I started doing coaching. I trained as a coach, and that was great. Until I got to a point where I thought, wow, this is a lot of effort, a lot of struggle, a lot of working hard. Universe, I give up. I think I'm going to go back to a day job. And I loved it, but I'm not going to pursue it as a career. And that's when I came across this book on the law of attraction by Abraham Hicks. And I fell in love with that book. And I started thinking, I wonder if I could teach this. And who am I to teach this? I don't know anything about this, but I would love to do that. And out of nowhere, clients started appearing. And I started thinking, what if I could coach them around these principles? And I started teaching them. And at the time, I also had a sickness. So I got lupus when I was 18. I had sore joints, rashes, was in bed for a month with fevers. I had 2 bleeding eyes, 2 retinas that were bleeding caused by the lupus. And whenever someone asked me, what's lupus? I had the perfect answer. I memorized what the doctor told me. You get sick from your head to your toe, your immune system attacks your body. I had the whole script. It wasn't until I discovered law of attraction that I started asking, I wonder if I can be well, because I never questioned that. And I thought, do I even get a choice? It would be an unfair universe if you didn't get a choice to choose health. And I started researching. I started looking for someone around the world who'd been healed of lupus, because I read Joe Dispenza's story, how he repaired his shattered spine with his thought. And I thought, well, is it possible? Is it possible to be healed? Anyway, I came across a lady in South Africa, and she did put her lupus in remission. She used a mindset process from Dr. John Demartini. And I love Dr. John Demartini, but I know that process and it's quite intensive. And I thought, surely when we cut our finger, it's not intensive work we have to do for it to heal. There's a process that should be easy enough for a child to follow. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to imagine. I'm going to spend 15 minutes a day imagining what it feels like to be well. Now, I hadn't ever considered that before. I was used to talking about being sick. So I'd go to the doctor's appointment and I'd look around me, and there'd all these elderly walking sticks in pain. But when I started thinking about these questions, it was the first time I really opened my eyes. And I thought, look at these people. If I don't change my story that I'm telling myself, I'm going to end up like that. So I did the imagination. I thought, there's nothing to lose. It doesn't cost me anything. I'm going to just imagine. So I would imagine like this electricity coming through me. I'll tell myself my cells love me and always look after me. My body's full of vitality. I'm making up stuff because I didn't know what that would feel like. And after about a year, I noticed I started feeling quite well. I started feeling strong enough. I started doing Zumba, even trained as an instructor at one point. And so I didn't tell my doctor. I thought he'd get mad because I secretly rebelled and stopped taking medication. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that's what I did because I knew my well-being. And he said, he did the blood test, and he said, your DNA for lupus is at 0%, whereas it had previously been at, not 0%, zero, it'd been at 1,200 when it was active. He goes, I told him I wasn't taking the medication. Yes, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. You have to take a little bit. Another year passed, and of course I didn't take it, but I was practicing these principles. And when he saw it was still 0%, he said to me, your blood test results indicate you're like healthier than a healthy person. He said, this is miraculous. I've only seen this in 2% of my cases. He said, clearly mindset is everything, but I can't tell people that, but you can. And that's how I ended up being this law of attraction coach. And yeah, and because of that starting point, I started thinking, what else can we do? What if I want to travel the world? What if I want to be speaking to an international audience? And I started now picturing all the things that I want and watching them come into my experience and teaching other people the same thing.
That's amazing. Congratulations on being able to cure the sort of disease and to get to where you are. That's so amazing. One thing I wanted to get your thoughts on is, are there limits to sort of what you can sort of attract? Like, for example, I'm sort of over the last few months, I've been really pushing myself to my limits, and I'm doing a lot more podcasts. I'm taking on a lot more clients. I'm doing a lot of listening, troubleshooting. I have a lot of team members, and I do feel I'm just constantly drained out by the end of the day. And then as I'm sort of listening to you, I feel my energy dripping, and I'm sort of visualizing like a beam of energy going down through my body, and then it wakes me up for a bit. And I've sort of done affirmations in the past, but then it always feels like I can sort of, like if I sort of do some type of affirmation, I feel like I'm pushing myself, and then I'm like constantly awake and I'm constantly full on. But after 6 months, this crash happens. It's like
burnout.
All of a sudden my body, I get burnt out. That's it. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, Abraham Hicks teaches that if you can have the desire, if you can imagine something, then the universe has the wherewithal to create it. There's a kind of false premise that we can achieve everything by action. There's only so much action we can take because we only have so many hours in the day. And there's this also false premise that we are making something happen. It looks like it, but it actually works like this. I'll just show you. So we have this idea. Here I am. Okay. So I'm going along and I want to create something. I see this flash in my mind and I want to create something. So I think I have to push and push and push until I can create this something. It doesn't actually work that way. Okay? We're not making something happen. It looks like it. We're not. We go along life, we experience some sort of problem or some sort of lack, and that lack, that problem or that contrast is what Abraham calls it. We launch our desire. Big problem, big desire. Big lack of money, big desire to have to create a lot of money. Big injustice in the world, big desire to change the world. Okay? So we launch this desire. So that's step one in manifesting. Step two, the universe answers that. So the universe creates a vibrational version of it. Okay? Now, when it creates it, it's not satisfying to people because it's where I can't see it and I can't touch it and I can't, actually physically see it. It sits in a type of invisible vibrational warehouse. Okay? So here it is and it's waiting for you. So step one, step two, you don't really do as much, but step three is everything. Okay? Step three, this here wants to make its way to you. Okay? The greater you has all the ideas of what action to take, what steps to take, what people to meet, what to do. Okay?
People will watch this on YouTube, but if you're listening, Anna's actually, you can sort of describe what you just drew, Anna.
Okay, I just drew that a person has launched a desire. So just imagine a rocket being launched. And the moment the desire is launched, the universe starts putting energy together. So just on this little swirl, like the energy's coming together. It's starting to form, So your the wonderful new house, the wonderful new business, the expansion of your business, it's starting to form and it's being created. But you can't see it yet because the energy is at a frequency that's out of our human perception. Okay, aren't there sounds that a dog can hear that a human can't hear? Does it mean it doesn't exist? No, it exists at a frequency that's not visible to our human eyes yet. Okay? 99% of it is actually going to be invisible. The last 1% is when it comes into reality. Okay? So this wonderful creation wants to come to you. But we have a type of kind of like a Great Wall of China around us. Okay, which is not a solid wall, but rather a thought wall. A thought wall that doesn't match the creation. So the creation ends up bumping off. The ideas that you are meant to receive on how to get there bumps off. The people that you're meant to meet bump off. So what do? We need to be a match to the very thing that we desire in terms of feeling. The universe doesn't hear so much your words, it hears your feeling. So you want this wonderful new business, but you've been feeling nothing but stress or anxiousness. Okay, it's not a match. Okay, I had someone say to me, I can manifest anything. I manifest this, but how do I manifest my ex-boyfriend back? I can't seem to do it. And I said, what does it feel like to have that ex-boyfriend? It feels like fun. It feels like fullness. It feels like just romantic, this and that. And I said, well, what are you feeling right now? Anxiety. It's not a match. Okay. It's a match to meeting someone and having another desperate relationship, but it's not a match to the fullness that you're after. So back to your question, we've got to move from I'm trying to make something happen to I've already created it and I've got to be a match to allowing it in. Okay? It's very different. One is a question and the other one is an answer. One is seeking to find something missing, and the universe feels your missing vibration. Whereas the other one is, I know there's a solution out there. I know the right job is waiting for me. I know the perfect house is out there, even if everything says we can't afford it. I know that knowing is picking up what's in here, okay? And the more certainty you have of knowing it's there, the more it can come into your experience. One thing is to think a thought, another thing is to believe it, and another thing is to know it. When you're at the knowing stage, it's going to be yours, okay? I had a lady and she came to me for coaching. She lets me share this story and I love it. She was worried that she couldn't have a baby. She said, all my friends, they're like 30-something years old and all my friends have babies. What's wrong with me? I'm missing a baby. What if I can't physically have one? And she was saying all of that. Now, when she came to me, my logical mindset would tell me, you can't tell her she can have a baby. You don't know her medical background. But my understanding of the laws of the universe is if you ask, it's answered. And so is she a match to the thing that she has asked for? And I said to her, your baby is already here. She's like, what? I said, your baby is already here, but you're not a match to it because your vibration is missing baby. She said, I never thought of that. I said, talk to your baby because that's what you would do if it was already there. She was in tears. She never considered that. She had been going on for so long about not being able to have a baby. She hadn't thought about the baby. So we went away and finished. And about 3 months later, she sent me a text. She was 3 months pregnant.
Wow.
Okay. So we all have vibrational babies, but we've got to be a match for it. The route to receiving this, now, when you become a match, this is what happens. It doesn't just land out of the heavens into your lap. Okay. It comes to you in the form of ideas. So you've got a greater, higher self, a universal being, who's overlooking the operation, who knows the directions. But it's going to be much like a sat nav. Turn left, go 100 meters forward, turn right. And you're not going to get the full instructions. You're only going to get the instructions in front of you. So your greater self, we call it the inner being, is constantly giving you directions. But when we have this wall, we don't hear the directions, okay? Because it's just bouncing off. But when we tune into the frequency, much like when we move a dial to a certain setting, then we are cutting out all the other noise and we're only getting that frequency. Okay, when we're tuning in, we start to get the instructions. And then it's like, where have you been all my life? I never thought of that idea. And then I'm going to do this. And then now I have another step. But when we don't have that guidance, we're scrambling to do everything. Like we're going to cover all bases and try to do all action in the one go. Wouldn't it make sense to have the guidance of the sat-nav to get us on the direct route? So everybody's got that within them. And it comes in the form of intuition. It comes in the form of, I just got a feeling that I should go there. It's direct guidance. I actually had an experience where it was literally intuition sat-nav because I went to Perth, Fremantle on the other side of Australia, and my phone ran out, the charger to the car didn't work, I had no map, and I didn't know how I was going to get to my Airbnb. I didn't know where I was, and I was by myself and there was no one around. And so I literally said, okay, universe, you better guide me. So I would drive and I would listen to my gut feeling and it would be like, turn right at this traffic light, turn left here, turn right there. And then I ended up on this street where I finally saw a human and I saw this little girl and I said, do you know where I am? And I was on the street.
Wow.
But I was on the opposite end. I just had to make it to the other side. So it's literally like that, but in terms of your goals, your dreams. You can't even think of your goal without it existing in some form in this universe, okay? Because it can't exist. The basis of this universe is all potential energy, and the observer effect, when energy is thought upon, it collapses into a particle, okay? So the moment that we think it, it's created. Now, whether we receive it in the vibrational form that we're after depends on all of this. It depends on taking that wall down. Now, there's several ways to take that wall down. Okay. One of the ways is to get into the feeling that you've already had it. One of the most, if you're exhausted, you're feeling burnt out, you're doing too much in action and not enough in vibration first. Vibration is like when you build a house, you lay down the architectural framework, don't you? Like you get an architect and you make a plan, but you don't just start laying the bricks. But when we leap into action without having established the basis of how we're going to feel, how we're creating it in the invisible, okay, then it just makes it much easier when we have this whole framework laid out vibrationally. And then it's easier to fill in the pieces, okay, for the steps. But when we don't have that, we're scrambling everywhere, trying to do everything for everyone at once. Under this, you've got, we're getting you to look more inward than outward and listen to inner guidance and then taking inspired action. Okay.
So let's say, for example, for me, I've been noticing that, you know, as an introvert, sort of when I sort of hang out with people, I'm talking, I'm listening, my energy sort of goes down. And I don't know, is it possible to become an extrovert? Is it because I know if I go out partying, going to festivals, I'm drained for the next 1 or 2 days. Yeah. And I can sort of meditate, sort of do the Tony Robbins sort of meditation and draw in energy, and I'll be pumped up for a few seconds, but it gets depleted really, really quick. Mm-hmm. Is my introvertness something that I can change? What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm both introvert and extrovert. I like to have a lot of quiet time so I can connect, because I really don't have anything to offer unless I connect, because it's like being a really pretty lampshade and having all the fancy features but not connected to electricity, okay? When we find time to connect with us within, it's like we're recharging, like we recharge our phone. Now, when you recharge your phone, it's not charged for life. You constantly need to connect again. But one of the things you could do is don't disconnect after you've charged it. Don't disconnect. And how do you remain connected? Well, when you go out with friends, now it can be something really uplifting or it can be depleting. The dominant vibration wins. If you establish within yourself that connection and decide, I'm responsible for my happiness, I'm going to make this the best day ever, I'm going to enjoy this day and I'm not letting anything get in the way, including myself. So one of the ways to remain connected is to be intentional about everything, every activity that you're about to do. So, for example, today I am now on this interview with you. So before we got on this interview, I set some intentions. I want this to be of value. I want it to be powerful. I want people to come away with some wisdom. Okay. Now I'm going to have a meal. What do I want out of this? I want the food to nourish me. I want it to taste good. I want to feel full of vitality. Now I'm going to take a drive. What do I want out of this? I want to have a smooth and seamless trip. I want to have a great parking spot. So do you see what we're doing? When we disconnect from that energy, it's usually because we've moved away from, because we're not just us. There's a greater us, and then there's the human us. And the greater us, some people call soul or spirit, is using the physical us as a kind of avatar to have this journey through this game of life, okay? When we are connected, as in when we are both seeing life in the same light and in the same view, or we share the same opinion about life, then we feel good. But as soon as we start to think thoughts that are not a match to our greater self, we start to deviate and we feel the energy drop. We want to feel the energy drop because it's like saying, time to recharge your phone. So we bring it back together.
So how do you maintain either one, how do you increase your battery, or two, reduce the rate of it being drained?
It really helps if, for me, meditation helps because it's a discordant thought that drains the battery, okay? It's a thought that is thinking in a way that your greater, higher self doesn't think. It's usually a thought towards limitation, lack of, disadvantage, etc. So when you meditate, you're actually learning to control those rampant thoughts because you actually are having no thought. You know, when you meditate, you don't actually have any suffering because suffering is a thought that I'm at disadvantage or about loss or I'm missing something. But because you're having no thought, then you're neutral. Okay, so meditation helps to manage your own thoughts that cause you to move away from yourself. Really, you have two things happening. And this is the most simple way to explain it. You have, to manifest, you have desire and you have belief, or you have thought. Belief is just a thought you keep thinking, okay? You naturally launch desires as you experience problems in life. But when you think a thought, you need your thought to be in the direction of the desire, not against it. Do you understand? When you think a thought in the direction of your desire, and I use this analogy, for example, I live in Sydney, but if I were to drive north to Brisbane and Brisbane were my desire, okay, that's the direction of my desire. It's already, course has been launched. But if I think a thought, what if I experience traffic? What if I left the oven on? What if I catch COVID there? What if the weather's really bad? Do you see that's not in the direction of my enjoyable time in Brisbane? It's actually in the opposite direction. It's like putting my foot on the brake, putting my foot on the brake, 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 brake. And then I get out of the car and I'm like, why the freak am I not in Brisbane? Okay. But if I were to think thoughts like, I love the weather there. My favorite restaurant is there. I look forward to getting away. It's so fun to stop over some of the places on the way. You notice they feel good. Why? Because they're in the direction of, that's like putting your foot on the accelerator. Okay?
Interesting, yeah, because as you mentioned thoughts and how thoughts is sort of what drains energy, I was just thinking back, it's like, oh wow, that's very true, because when I'm sort of having conversations or doing podcasts, usually the ones where I get really drained are the ones where I just do a lot of listening, because and as I'm listening, a lot of thoughts are coming up, but since I don't want to be rude and interrupt the person, those thoughts sort of dissipate and then more thoughts come up, and then it's sort of really, really draining. But when I'm able to speak and then learn how to sort of correctly jump back in and sort of add sort of another question or put in my perspective, it's much less draining. But if I'm just sitting here, just listening for 80% of the time, all these thoughts are just like, just burning sort of energy. Yeah, well, what's your thoughts? Because that's something that you just brought light to me, so thank you.
Yeah, it helps focus. It really helps, because if you are reading 10 books at once, there's nothing wrong with that. But it just means you're gonna, you're not gonna gain a lot of momentum in any one area, in any one book. Whereas if you could just focus on the one thing in front of you, not the 100 things you're going to do in your life, but the one thing in front of you, it helps you to get to Brisbane faster, because all your energy is directed there.
Yeah, on that topic of focus, what do you think would be like a great exercise for people to start if they want a better focus? Because I do notice that I wake up and I'm not supposed to pick up my phone. I'm supposed to go straight to doing my exercise routine. But for some reason, my brain just wants that dopamine hit. It wants to pick up the phone to check what's going on. And then all of a sudden, now my brain is just teared up in two directions.
Okay. Try to avoid picking up that phone or put it in another room and set an alarm another way, because social media, easy way to scatter focus, split energy. Okay, split energy at the start of the day. The start of the day is actually a prime real estate. You have pure clarity. Why? Because when you go to sleep, all momentum on negative momentum stops. So that's why people get ideas in their sleep. People wake up and they've got this clarity. Now, if you regurgitate the problems of yesterday first thing in the morning, you're just recreating yesterday and your life's not going to change. So what we want to do, we want to wake up and we want to choose our thought. Now, people don't choose their thoughts. They go by the habit of whatever they used to. Okay, grab the phone, But you can choose something else. It's just a habit, like brushing your teeth. Okay. If you really want a productive day, there's nothing wrong with checking your phone, but make the first part of your day connecting to the electricity. Because if you want to have a good life, you want to have access to that energy that knows all the instructions for your life.
What's your morning routine like, Anna? What's your morning routine?
My morning routine, I wake up and as soon as I make my bed, sometimes I wake up and I stay in the bed and I deliberately have to choose a thought about something that was good. So I really like the feeling of my bed. Oh, I can see the sunrise from my bedroom. Look at that sunrise. Okay. Then very quickly, because I have to drop off my daughter and stuff to school, 15 minutes. I do 15 minutes of meditation. I simply sit there, shut off, close my eyes, think of nothing. Now, people tell me, but I can't do that. I can't think of nothing. Well, then you're going to have a hard time controlling your life because you'll have a hard time controlling your mind. Okay. You want to be a Jedi master. You want to be a master of your life. To be a master of your life is controlled by your mind. Okay. Everything's your mind. Whatever comes out of, if this was, I was drawing out pictures of the conscious, subconscious self mind. So that's the mind. You've got the conscious and then the subconscious. Okay. Mind. The conscious mind is the thinking mind. Okay. All the input comes in and you decide whether you're going to accept or reject it. Now, that could be teachings from your parents, teachings from the teacher, something you saw on the internet, the news, whatever it is. But whatever it is, it's coming in. And if you're repeating it enough, your subconscious mind says, oh, I can see that particular thought you like to repeat. Let me take that off your hands and make it automatic.
Anna, do you do any affirmations in the morning, or do you have any sort of visualize like a sort of mind map that you look at every morning, or does that happen later on in the day?
Do it in the first part of the day, at least the first half being before midday. I find it time to do that. So I do the meditation. I have to do some kid drop-offs and stuff like that. But as soon as I have time, I do my affirmations. Sometimes I say them in the shower. I do that morning routine. I do some yoga stretching. And then I go straight into, for me, reading is really important because unless you are taking in new empowering ideas, then the old program's still running. So
tell me about yoga. So that's something that I do find in common with a lot of people that are more spiritual, more sort of in tune with the energy. A lot of them do yoga. Tell me about yoga before we go on to the next few things.
I'm probably not an expert in yoga. I don't do a lot of it, but I do know if I'm using this body, it feels good to stretch. And I'm a believer of following what feels good to the body and the soul. Okay, so whatever it is, other people, they go for a jog. Other people like to do their whole workout at the gym. Whatever gets you feeling really high energy, feeling really connected, and connected to your body as well. Okay, so that you're not just sitting at a desk all day.
Are there any days where you just wake up just like you just feel down, you're depleted? Does that ever happen? And what's your advice?
It used to happen to me a lot when I was younger. I was quite depressed, and there's nothing wrong with being depressed. All it is an indicator that you and your greater self, you're thinking a thought that's not in the direction of your desire. Okay. And when you think a thought not in the direction of your desire, there's friction. And the indicator is negative emotion. The greater the thought that is in opposition to your desire, the greater the friction, the lower you will feel. And the lowest indicator is a feeling like powerlessness or depression. Okay. You can work your way up because it's not that anything's wrong with you. It's not that you're stuck there. It's that when you work up, you're thinking something that's not in the direction of the greater you. It's not in the direction of the destination you want to go. Like, it's like saying, oh, I really want a house, but I'll never get a loan, or it's too expensive, or I really want to be successful, but I've been unsuccessful in the past. It's completely foot on the brake. And you put the foot on the brake long enough, you are so used to being in that place that you think this is your natural state. But you're meant to be joyous beings. So how do we move out of that place? Well, we can't go from every emotion is on a scale. So the highest frequency all the way down, kind of like keys on a piano. So when we're all the way down at the bottom, it's not that it's right or wrong, good or bad. It's just that's the frequency we're at. And if we want to jump over to joy, it's not possible to do that in one sweep, because law of attraction only gives you access to a thought that's close to where you're standing. So we might not be able to feel joyful when we're down in depression. You notice it's completely out of reach when you're in depression. However, we can choose a thought that feels a little bit better. Okay? So if everything's going wrong in my life, okay, I might choose a thought that's like, well, I'm still alive, I'm breathing. Okay. Whatever you can find that feels a little bit. I had this lady that she couldn't stand her mother-in-law. And I said, reach for, because her mother-in-law said a few mean things to her. And I said to her, it's not your mother-in-law that's bothering you. It's your thought about your mother-in-law that's bothering you, because you have a desire to feel well-being and, the well-being for everyone, and that's not a match to that. And so let's reach for a thought that just feels a little bit better. And she goes, no, I can't think of anything. And then we finally brainstormed and we came up with two. One was, she hasn't killed anyone. And the second one was, well, she did produce the son that she does love. She married him. Okay. And then by the end, she was laughing. And you'd think that's not very significant, but it's significant enough of a shift to change and rearrange the outer universe. Because the very next day she rang me. She goes, you won't believe it. This mother-in-law that's always mean to her rang her up and was so kind and explained, I know I'm really hard on you, but you're a really good mother, and something that she's never done before. And that was the day after we did this exercise of just...
Is she constantly reading out those two things every morning, or was it just doing that exercise was enough? What do you recommend after you sort of figure out a few good thoughts?
Because the universe is really paying attention to how you feel. It doesn't even care what topic it's on. Get into the feeling of how you would like to feel. We want all these successes because we want to feel good ultimately. We think we want the trophy and the partner and the house and that, but really what we want is to feel good through those things, okay? That means we can feel good now. That means we can make up what we want now. The universe doesn't care if you made it up or whether it's actually a feeling you got from reality or a feeling from memory. When you think a thought, it can only go two ways. It can be a thought about something you want and you feel good, or a thought about something you don't want and you feel bad. And your brain releases a chemical, it comes through your body and it filters out as a broadcast. And this broadcast goes out to the universe. The universe says, yes, I agree with you. I agree with the feeling you broadcast. Here are more life experiences that will continue the feeling you broadcast. Okay?
Interesting. So right now, as you're sort of saying those things, I'm like, okay, I want to feel happy. I want to feel full of energy. I want to feel just happy. and then I'm feeling happy. It's happening. I just feel like joy. I feel giddy. I feel good. What's happening right now when you sort of change the way you feel? Share that with everyone.
So you are not you. You are physical you, but you are not you. If you are not the things you own, you are not the things you achieved, you are not what people think of you, okay? You are infinite intelligence, okay? So just imagine before you entered into this body, unlimited energy, unlimited loving energy, okay? From the very beginning, some people call it God, some people call it universal consciousness, whatever. And you are an individuation of that energy. And just like a drop of water in the ocean is an individuation of the ocean, but is the ocean, you're an individuation of this loving energy, and you are the loving energy. Okay? So you're doing really well. Life is good. Life is fine in this heavenly light, but it gets a little boring. Okay? When we experience ourselves, and how can we experience ourselves unless we experience the opposite? A candle shines brightest in the dark. And so here you are, and you go, I need to immerse in the darkness so I can experience my light. And so you move along and you see, okay, here's planet Earth. Perfect. I'm going to go here. I'm going to show up my light. But in order to go here in this physical arena, I need to team up with a physical body. So where there was once one of you, there are now two. And these two can have different opinions. Okay? So when you're a baby, you're one opinion. Life is good. You're not thinking, am I doing the right thing with my thoughts? Do I have enough friends? We're not thinking about that. Life is good. But then you are in this limited environment. You are starting to get the programming of the limited thinking. That's not enough. You're not good enough. Let's compare you. Wrong. You did something bad. And then your sense of joy and well-being and being free and intending to live your life the way you want, it starts to diminish, and you start to separate an opinion. Okay? But when you came into this arena of planet Earth, you decided you're not going to leave yourself to your own defenses. You're going to give yourself guidance. And the guidance is going to be a connection through your feelings. Okay? And Abraham Hicks calls this the emotional guidance system. Sometimes your head tells you one thing, but your heart tells you something else. Okay? Your feelings indicate to you what your higher self, your non-physical self, is telling you. Okay? Here's the thing. This one here always sees the best for your life, always sees the wonderful things you've created and joins it. It's always standing at the furthermost point in your future creation. It stands where your vibrational reality that you've created is being conjured up, while you're still standing here in this present time in physical limited space, only seeing what's in front of you. This one sees what's before you. And so this one here asks you to catch up. Okay? So anytime you are not seeing the situation the way your greatest self sees it, you create a gap, and the gap is negative emotion. Okay?
Interesting. Now, what is like a easy exercise that our viewers can sort of do, or what would you recommend they do to sort of combine, sort of shorten that gap and get into one and listen to their heart and constantly not be fighting with their thoughts and their heart? Well, what's something that people can do on a daily basis? What's something actionable?
Yeah, one really good thing is learning how to massage your thoughts into a better place. We can get there through appreciation. Okay, stop noticing what you lack or what you don't have. Start noticing what you do have. What's present? What do I already have? You're moving from a feeling of lack, which law of attraction will multiply, to a feeling of presence or fullness, which the law of attraction will multiply. Okay? We can learn to be kinder to ourselves. We're very big critics because we've learnt that. We picked that up growing up. And we criticize ourselves and we're really harsh on ourselves. So learning to, when something bad happens, oh my gosh, something bad just happened, unless it's not bad, unless it's just helping me on my way. Learning to talk kindly to ourselves. Reach for thoughts that feel a little bit better than where you stand. So instead of saying, so if I'm standing in broke, then I wouldn't say I'm a millionaire, because I don't believe that's too far. But I could say I've made money before. It could be possible. There are people that have been broke standing in my shoes that have made it. I'm open to the idea that I can rebuild my finances. Okay. I can see abundance in other forms come into my life. There are ways that you have to reach for thoughts that feel like they sit well with you, that they give you relief. And as you reach for that thought, then you stabilize there, then you reach for another thought. So if you're in anger, to reach for a thought that feels like it's moving you towards frustration is really good. Okay. And from frustration, if you're moving towards boredom, that's even an improvement. And then you work your way upward on the emotional scale.
That's amazing, Anna. I really appreciate your time today. Where can people find more about what you do, learn more about your sort of thoughts and sort of what you're sharing today? Where can people find more about you, Anna?
I have a free downloadable mini ebook called 5 Mistakes in Manifesting and How to Fix It. And it's on my website on annagarcialifecoach.com. On there, I also have the ability to book a free 30-minute session with me. At the moment, I'm taking it down to, I have a full timetable at the moment. But I also have, for those that are not ready for that, Instagram. I have a lot of posts and it's like my own blog there. I share a lot of ideas that I ponder and meditate on. So there are a lot of tips there and some videos and stuff. And that's at Anna Garcia _life coach.
We'll link everything in the description below and in the show notes for sure.
Excellent.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Anna. I really appreciate your time today. I sort of love what you're doing, how you're sort of really wanting to sort of help people. And it's super amazing story on how you're able to cure the sort of, how do you pronounce it?
Lupus.
Yeah, you were just able to cure that through sort of visualization and how you've been able to then pass it on and now help other people. It's so amazing.
Thank you. You're welcome. So it's been a pleasure to share.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And yeah, check out all Anna's stuff in the links below, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.